Hey, welcome to 2025. I've missed you. This is Coach Jineen, and I wanted to pop in for a quick live. I just got off doing a bomb coaching call, and I like to ask my clients what is something that is going to resonate with you, or what is something that you caught from that. And doing nothing is doing something. I have said that quote many of times, and as people know, I'm always going to give you personal development tips on how to bloom, right? We're going to activate mindfulness, we're going to boost confidence, and we're also going to embrace healing. So after doing this coaching call, one thing I wanted to talk to her about was we all just came off of this winter break. These kids was off for 2 weeks. And so with that being, we wanted to rest. And if I'm being honest, lean in. I'm on my sabbatical. I've been on my sabbatical for 3 months. I cannot believe it'll be 3 months next week. And I'm loving it. And the reason why I wanted to jump on is because I wanted her to let go of mommy guilt. And I think as ambitious moms, we have guilt when we are not productive and we feel like we're not doing something. So you prepare for those seasons. So I'm going to give you all a passage. I also want to give you some updates. This is not going to be too long because I'm just jumping in real quick, but I wanted to just do it because it was on my spirit. So doing nothing is doing something. When you are taking those breaks and those moments, those are things that you really need to reset, recalibrate, right? So you can show up better. We're in 2025. Last year, my word of the year was expansion. So I was expanding to everything, birthing the book, doing all this stuff, got into a new coaching program, investing in myself, taking a sabbatical. Your girl was doing all the things. Plus, I just turned 41. And so I'm like, I'm doing some bigger and better things. And so after almost having a stroke, hitting burnout twice, you know what I mean? Having 2 businesses, being a single mom and having a full-time job, like doing all the things, your girl got burnt out. She was tired. She had to have several seats. And this is why I think it's so important, because chronic stress is not a good thing for us, especially as Black women. We take on too much as the strong woman syndrome. So I'm going to read you a passage from the book, but I want you to start thinking about what is something that you can do for you, but also so you can rest into it and not just burn yourself out to the point that you have nothing left to give. Are you giving from your overflow? See, as a healer and doing nurse anesthesia for a quarter of a century to doing other things, like I'm a healer, I'm a giver, I just give, you just push. And sometimes you push to the point of exhaustion. And when I almost had my stroke and I started having issues with my hand and I started having issues with all these other things, it made me kind of realize I might not be here tomorrow if I keep going down this path. And so I think it's a very good PSA that I wanted to step in to give you the grace and give you that nudge to say, boo, it's okay to be doing nothing. Now, we don't stay there too long. That's not what we're doing. But if you're an overachiever, you're a perfectionist, you need to hear this. Take a seat. And it's okay. It's okay. You're going to come back. But doing nothing is doing something. And give yourself permission and a grace. So in the book, if y'all didn't know, last year we birthed I Choose Me, the intentional guide to never losing yourself again. I am blessed to say we are hundreds with an S on the end, hundreds of books sold. I am so grateful. We have over 30 Amazon book reviews. Y'all have been showing up for me. Thank you to She Win Society for even giving me exclusive book signing. I was so blessed from 2024 with expansion that my word of the year for 2025 is refinement. And anything I do now is we going to refine that thing. We going to have systems. We going to automate that thing. We going to delegate that thing. We going to take rest, but we going to make sure this thing is going perfectly. As I sit here, when God put something in my spirit, I want to give this to somebody else too about the bow and arrow concept. Do you know that when you put a bow back, the arrow sits there, but it's in rest, but the bow is pulled back and that's tension. We have to sit and rest even though there is tension being put on us, because when we shoot our shot, we going to hit that thing right on goal. So for me, I'm in rest because it's refinement and we getting ready to hit this goal on target. So for somebody out there, I want you to understand, don't be discouraged when doing nothing is doing something, because you are actually doing something to prepare you for something that's going to be better. And you can't show up in your diluted form or your diluted version if you are not really taking care of yourself. And I just mean that truly and honestly for something that I lived where I lost myself and I had to lose and gain that again. So the book is called I Choose Me, Intentional Guide to Never Losing Yourself Again. But I wanted to give you a little snippet. This is from chapter 5, okay? And it's called Give Yourself Permission to Slow Down. And so it says, first, let's define being intentional. Merriam-Webster's definition of intentionality means done by intention or design. People use the word very loosely. However, I really took this word into my heart and spirit. Hence, I named my business with this word in it called Intentional Queen Journey. I wanted to do all the things with positive intentions and with being obedient in my life choices and of which God has planned for me. Jeremiah 29:11. What? He has plans to prosper you. Now, having intentionality and living a purpose required me to give myself permission to slow down. Who struggles with that? Slowing down. I had to slow down from overexerting myself in my day-to-day life. I knew it was affecting my health. It was affecting my relationships. But finally, this slowing down began. And it all started with the deliberate thought of giving myself grace. See, I think we don't give ourselves grace in it. This is why I'm bringing it up. Of doing nothing is doing something. Release yourself of that mommy guilt, okay? But also recognizing the difference between God's and society's viewpoints on intentionality. Let's break this down a little bit further. God wants us to live a life of good intentions, but walk in our purpose and gifts. This in turn will give us the dream life that we desire when we seek Him at our source. I have grown to use the scripture, Matthew 6:33, to help me delineate what way am I operating in my life and my pursuit of success. Because success can look different at different stages in your life. I was hustling and grinding through my 20s and my teens. Okay, I was a nurse at 17, and then I had multiple degrees by 30, and I had my life all mapped out. You know what I mean? And so what I started to learn, I was doing things from my own grit and not relaxing, like I said with the bow and arrow concept. I wasn't relaxing into it and letting God guide me, because at some point you can't do things through your own strength. You're going to need to have Him help you get the rest of the way. And so when you recognize that there's periods of rest and there's periods of go, there's seasons of reaping, there's seasons of sowing, that you will be able to understand that you can't go all that way. And if I'm going to put a little healthcare spin on it, okay? When you have high cortisol levels, that's your fight or flight system working all the time. That's not normal. Your body cannot sustain that. It causes so many other trigger things throughout your body. Hence why my thyroid became an issue. Hence why my blood pressure had went up. Signs of stress can kill you. Chronic stress is bad. Okay, but I think we carry that hat of the strong friend, the overachiever, the perfectionist, all those things, and you keep going, and next thing you know, you're not even here to take in all the things of the hard work and the labor that you've done, because you didn't work so hard that you worked yourself to death, literally. So I want you to take a step back with that and giving yourself permission to slow down, because these are the things that are going to help you grow in your business, grow in your life, grow in this time for you so you can spend time with your kids, be present with your kids. Like my child was off for 2 weeks for the Christmas holiday, but this is the first time I ever been able to sit in this thing and be like, cool, we got a whole setup and not have to worry about going to clock in at somebody else's job. Just being able to do what I wanted to do and being okay with that. And not being in mommy guilt of I should be, or I shoulda, coulda, and woulda. Be mindful of the things that you're marinating on. Stay around positive people, but give yourself grace, girl, to slow down. It is okay, because when you have your spurts of showing up and doing the thing like you like to do, you're going to hit that shot even quicker, because you're not doing it from a diluted or watered down version of yourself. You're showing up fully, embracing, and doing the thing. So... where was I at? So society's viewpoint on intentionality tends to push the agenda of grind harder, no matter what costs. Everything costs. You got to figure out what you want to sacrifice. Is it time? Where are you at in your life? There's different seasons to motherhood even. When you have motherhood, there's parts where your child needs you a little bit differently. So you have to be able to adapt, even in family life, because here I talk about choose yourself more in life, love, and motherhood. So there are things that you have to adapt to make sure that you're showing up in the best way in that season. And remember, seasons start and seasons end, but you have to be able to adapt into it, pivot into it, okay? Evolve into it. These are words of the years that I've used in the past. So I've had this mindset when I was in survival mode, but to my detriment, it cost me valuable time, energy, my well-being, and more. As I mentioned, I became ill with my thyroid disease. My marriage had hindered. I had hit my rock bottom. I had really just lost myself in the chaos of life. But I no longer dwell in those places because of the power of grace. I had released myself from them things, okay? I don't look like what I've been through. I was speaking at a previous event, shouting out to Mika. I was speaking at her event back in December, and it was talking about Queen Esther. She had me come on and talk about her, and I talked about the life after the crown chooses you. Don't be a victim. We victors out here. Don't be bitter, be better. Like, show up in a different space in a different way, because these are the things that are going to free other people. And when you recognize, when you invest in yourself, and when you recognize, even in the Queen Esther story, that it's really not about you, it's about showing up for other people. So me sharing my testimony has freed other people, teaching them how to choose themselves, showing them my life lessons, not because I'm mad or I'm sorrow about my blunders. I accept them, but they made me who I am. Remember, everything happens for you, not to you. And you have to decide how you want to navigate after you've been through all those things. That's just a word for somebody. So we're going to end this up with releasing the Superwoman Syndrome. Remember our childhood female superheroes like Wonder Woman. She had superpowers and she could do it all with her mask on and her cape intact, hence the term Superwoman Syndrome. Superwoman Syndrome manifests when the weight of responsibility compels you to take on multiple roles, because that's what we be doing out here, okay? And fulfill everyone else's needs. People pleasing. We're done with that. And we're people pleasing. Hold on, I have lost my place there. Superwoman manifesting the weight of responsibility compels you to take on multiple roles, fulfill everyone's needs, and at expense of your well-being. This can potentially lead to losing yourself in the process, and it is so often that it sadly is what many women do, and we lose ourselves and then wonder how we got there. Society does have a pretty set-in stigma and pressure surrounding the myth that mothers are able and should be able to do it all. That's not what we're doing. Take care of family, work full-time, cook, clean, and anything else that falls under homemaking. Most moms carry the full mental load. This is one thing people don't recognize, even though you may carry some of the other weight, but it's decision fatigue. I used to have decision fatigue. I'm making decisions all day. As a nurse anesthesiologist, I got people's lives in my hands. I'm making decisions all the time. Then I got to come home and make other decisions. Like, you tired. Your brain tired. You're tired. Okay? You don't want to make no decisions. So, as I said, we're carrying the full weight of the mental load, okay? It can be an extreme challenge and adulting feat, which leads to self-neglect and overwhelm, okay? So that's why I'm here. What I'm here to do, help you alleviate the overwhelm and self-neglect so you never lose yourself again. We're going to activate mindfulness. We're going to boost confidence. We're going to embrace healing, okay? Caregivers tend to fall in this pattern and consistently giving without replenishing their own energy. This is why I said doing nothing is doing something. You need to replenish your energy, okay? It is important to give from your overflow and not your diluted version of yourself. My mom is a very ambitious woman who instilled in me to always keep pressing and do whatever I needed to do in order to take care of my family. I remember my parents working multiple jobs. You start becoming like the people you're around, right? But I'm teaching my parents that we don't even got to work like we did it back then, like helping them to learn that there are some different ways. And even in my own motherhood, I adapted things that I love from my mother, and I tweak things that I feel should be differently, and be okay with that. You don't have to bash the previous generations because they only did what they was taught. So now that you know what you know, you just adapt as you go. Give grace. So I remember my parents working multiple jobs while also seeking higher education when my siblings and I were younger. To me, it was normal to grind. My parents would say, pay me now or pay me later. What they were trying to tell us was, do we want to work hard in our younger years or in our older years? And so for me, I wanted to work harder in my younger years, which I grinded them out. And at 41 now, I can say thank you, God, for the place that he has put me to be able to be in the positions that I'm in based off of how I was grinding before. But you got to plan for that. That's a parachute plan. You got to think about your future. So I lived a different way in my 20s and 30s, preparing to be more relaxed and not have to grind as hard in my 40s and 50s and continue, if God blesses me, into my later years. Most people look at retirement as a time to slow down. So in mine, I took this advice and wanted to grind out my 20s and 30s to set myself up for a more comfortable retirement period later in life. This all made perfect sense in my mind, but sometimes my body let me know it was pushed to the max. And so, like I said, almost having a stroke and having all these other things, my body was letting me know, check engine light, you ain't right. When I was in nurse anesthesia school, I had to go on a home heart monitor for a couple weeks. I forgot about that. I was having heart palpitations and dizzy spells, so I had to be rushed to the emergency room. And it turned out that I was having these symptoms due to lack of rest, combined with increased caffeine intake and high levels of chronic stress. It was a wake-up call to me and my body that it was alerting me to slow down. But I was too focused on my pursuit to success to even listen. However, I now know that being more intentional about prioritizing your self-care and mental health is vital to maintaining your inner peace. I say grab your piece of peace and you hold that thing, okay? Like, mindfulness is not woo-woo to me. Mindfulness is I really work on keeping a peaceful mind. I just put a recent reel up. Peaceful mind leads to a peaceful life. And I really have learned that. What am I saying to myself? How's she talking to herself? Is she talking to herself sexy or is she not? And I'm talking about me in third person. But these are the things you have to say to yourself. You have to affirm yourself. You need to know your self-love language. Like, you have to figure out get to the root and figure out what's going on and why you are acting that way. Because remember, thoughts lead to feelings, that lead to actions, that lead to results. So if you want results, first you need to think about, what am I thinking? What am I marinating on? Because that's how I'm showing up. And how you showing up normally is how you talking to yourself. Okay? And that's in life, love, and motherhood. So as I close this out with y'all, I want you to move yourself into a space of gratitude and give yourself permission to slow down. Check in with your mind, body, and soul on a routine basis. So me just going into that, and after having that coaching call with my client today, I think that's so important that message is going to resonate for a lot of people. And so when I'm told to show up, she show up. And so I'm showing up. I want you to think of your word of the year. Like I said, my word of the year is refinement for 2025. And I'm really intentional about that. And I am really getting to a point where I'm making systems. We automating things. We delegating things. We taking breaks. We on a sabbatical. But it's not to the point of not doing work. It's doing things that fulfill me. That's the lesson that I want people to get. Even if you're slowing down, you need to do things that feed your soul. And I'm getting to a point now that I'm doing things that feel good to me. You know what I mean? And this is another thing that I learned that I think is going to bless somebody, is think of yourself like a rain cloud. You have to have all the moisture, so you're giving it value, giving value, giving value. And then at some point, it's going to rain down. And hopefully it's going to rain down that money. But rain down from all the value that you've given. So you got to put in so you can get out. And so I'm getting to a point now in life that I'm making sure I'm putting into that cloud, because at some point in that next season, it will rain. And so when you have expansion, there's times that you have to purge what no longer serves you. You got to rest in the pocket. But guess what? When you shoot your shot and it's action time, it's trigger time, you're going to be ready to hit that thing, because you're going to refine it. You're going to have processes and things in place to help you not be overwhelmed, so you can take care of yourself. Putting things on the calendar. I put things on the calendar on Sundays. We're going to go ahead and do the facial. We're going to do some things with the feet. We're going to do some other things. And I'm not just saying just maintenance self-care. I'm just saying at some point you're going to have to slow down. Find things that are causing you to be chronically stressed, and you need to cut them out ASAP, because you do not want all the health problems that I had. They were not sexy, and I wouldn't recommend them to anybody. The last updates before I get off with you is, like I said, the book is doing really well, so make sure you go ahead and get I Choose Me book. The Intentional Guide to Never Losing Yourself Again. You can get that at buyichoosemebook.com, or you can go over to amazon.com and prime it over. What else we got going on? The podcast, I'll be putting a new podcast out tomorrow, Intentional Queens Podcast, with over 20,000 downloads and counting. And so I'm going to be talking about building your ark and giving you some secrets on that. That's going to be tomorrow. I have some events coming down the pike, because like I said, I'm a coach, but I get coached. So my coach check me, boo-boo. When they say, who gonna check you, boo-boo? Yeah, she checked me. So anyway, she gonna be putting some things together. People also asked me to bring back the Sexy Talk Masterclass, so that's gonna be coming back. I just got a lot of things coming up for 2025 that I'm so excited about. What else? If you're not in the email list, why are you not over there? You need to be over there. The Bloom group is doing well. That is a free community that I have on Telegram, where I am in there checking in with you, giving you tips, giving you tricks. We in there communicating, so that is free. If you want to sign up for that, that's at intentionalqueenjourney.com. I also give you Mindset Monday emails, and you get free access to my events and things that I do that is not noted on my other social media. That is it. I hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure you share it with a friend. Make sure you tune into the podcast, and I want you to level up your intentional queen to a better you and choose yourself more in life, love, and motherhood. Have a good day. Bye-bye.